All right. Well, I believe, yes, we are indeed live. Hello, everybody. Welcome, one and welcome all to the one and the only Junk Shop Library channel, home of improv Bible study and home of intrusive notification noises in my headphones and home of Mental Health Thursdays. Now, we had a surprisingly successful inaugural session, despite having been visited by the technology gremlins this past Thursday, and we're hoping to have a much smoother run of it this coming Thursday. Today, however, we are doing our bread and butter here in the library, which is improv Bible study. We go verse by torturous verse through the public domain, King James Version of 1611, which we here in the library have renamed the Big Book of War Crimes and Outdated Regulations, Utter Madness and Abuse. If that sounds interesting to you and you are over the age of 18, please feel free to stick around. This content is absolutely, positively, 100% not for children. And why? Because we read the Bible. Anyone trying to sell you this crock of outdated garbage as fit for children should be publicly whomped upside the head with a dead squirrel, because it is not. This is bad stuff. And that's what we do here in the library, is point out just how bad it is. All right. Today's episode of Improv Bible Study is brought to you by a bit of tea and Danish Productions, who is taking care of some of the technological end of things in order to free me and my poor, long-suffering laptop up to tear into the word of the Lord. We got folks in the chat. Lots of folks in the chat. I love to see a full chat. It warms the cockles of my heart, it does. Before we dive into the chat, I got to say a word of thanks to my amazing patrons. I want to say thank you, one and all. Paul Camish and Brainbug and Linda and Kim. All of you who support the ongoing physical improvements to the library in a monetary way over on Patreon. You are immensely, immensely appreciated. Thanks to you all, we have light and we have sound. It's amazing. Y'all remember when this stuff got started back in January of last year? When it was me talking to my phone propped up on a stool in a beat to shit recliner? We have made great strides since then, due in no small part to my amazing patrons and to my amazing guest producers. All right, let's check on the chat and see who we got. Morton Nielsen is here. Paul Camish is here and ready for the smiting. Julie LaVoice is here. Amiga Nuts is here, dropping links and taking names. A bit of tea in Danish, of course, is here. Many, many thanks to you for what you're doing today, my friend. Mr. Shadow Kitty is here, greeting the thinky people. We like to think so. And that seems to catch us up. Everyone feel free to share out the stream if you're in a technological position to do so, because I can't right now, because that would involve opening a second window and thus possibly a portal to technological hell. All righty. Well, everybody here, I believe, was here with us last time when we made a rather astounding discovery in the book of Holy Writ. And that, Jezebel aside, there was an actual, real, for sure queen over Israel once upon a time, long ago and far away, back in the day. Athaliah, who was conspired against by the high priest because priests don't like women telling them what to do, and was subsequently killed in the street like a dog and forgotten, consigned to the dustbin of history. I was subject to a very extensive religious upbringing, and I was never once that I recall told about Good Queen Athaliah and the interesting priest who arose against her, mounted an armed rebellion, and established a 7-year-old child in her place. Make of that what thou wilt. So, Miss Athaliah firmly in our rear view, we today launch into the 12th chapter of the second book of the Kings. Let us see what bizarrerie awaiteth you and me today. Here, and 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all his days, wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him. But the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places. And Jehoash said to the priests, all the money of the dedicated things that is brought into the house of the Lord, even the money of every one that passeth the account, the money that every man is set at, and all the money that cometh into any man's heart to bring into the house of the Lord, let the priests take it to them, every man of his acquaintance, and let them repair the breaches of the house, wheresoever any breach shall be found. But it was so that in the 33rd year of King Jehoash, the priests had not repaired the breaches of the house. Then King Jehoash called for Jehoiada the priest and the other priests, and said unto them, why repair ye not the breaches of the house? Now therefore receive no more money of your acquaintance, but deliver it for the breaches of the house. And the priests consented to receive no more money of the people, neither to repair the breaches of the house. But Jehoiada the priest took a chest, and bored a hole in the lid of it, and set it beside the altar, on the right side as one cometh into the house of the Lord. And priests that kept the door put therein all the money that was brought into the house of the Lord. And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put it in bags, and told the money that was found in the house of the Lord. And they gave the money, being told, into the hands of them that did the work, that had the oversight of the house of the Lord. And they laid it out to the carpenters and builders, and wrought upon the house of the Lord, and to masons and hewers of stone, and to buy timber and hewed stone, to repair the breaches of the house of the Lord, for all that was laid out for the house to repair it. Howbeit there were not made for the house of the Lord bowls of silver, snuffers, basins, trumpets, any vessels of gold or vessels of silver, of the money that was brought into the house of the Lord. But they gave that to the workmen, and repaired therewith the house of the Lord. Moreover, they reckoned not with the men into whose hand they delivered the money to be bestowed on workmen, for they dealt faithfully. The trespass money and sin money was not brought into the house of the Lord, it was the priests. Then Hazael, king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. And Hazael set his face to go up to Jerusalem. And Jehoash, king of Judah, took all the hallowed things that Jehoshaphat and Jehoram and Ahaziah, his fathers, kings of Judah, had dedicated, and his own hallowed things, and all the gold that was found in the treasures of the house of the Lord and in the king's house, and sent it to Hazael, king of Syria, and he went away from Jerusalem. And the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And his servants arose and made a conspiracy, and slew Joash in the house of Millo, which goeth down to Selah. For Jozachar the son of Shemaiah and Jehozabad the son of Shomer, his servants, smote him, and he died. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Amaziah his son reigned in his stead. And there we have the 12th chapter of the second book of the Kings. Let us see what goeth on in the chat. No recent activity in the chat. Caught up in the riveting word of the Lord. All righty, so in this chapter, the offering to fix the physical building is initiated. The big box with the slit in the lid where you can dump in your change for the ongoing upkeep of the house of the Lord is initiated here, because priests ain't doing their job right. The king said, "Fix this shit up." And the priests were like, "I ain't fixing up shit. I'm going to Starbucks. I'm buying stock." And after a few years, the king notices there have not been any significant improvements to the house of the Lord, and says he to the priests, "Naughty, naughty, naughty. So we're going to do this shit different from now on. All the offerings of money go in this box. And when this box is full, we're going to crack that shit open, and we're going to pay builders and masons and hewers of stone and fix up this poor, broken down old house of the Lord." I wonder if this is the glitch that happens on occasion with my phone. Aha! Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Okay, we've got some more folks to greet. We got Dave in the chat. Welcome, my friend. We got Amber. Hello. Good to see you as always. Brainbug, the Hive, is in the house. Welcome, my friend. We have got everybody greet. "But it's called the Good Book," says Paul. "I don't understand." Oh, Paul's gonna share on Facebook. Thank you, my friend. I myself have no Facebook, so those who can share on Facebook, always be free to do so. Yeah, Paul says, "Hi, yes, forgot to tell you, God likes money." And then also, tell God to fix his own fucking house. Yeah, well, God's not really big on the whole doing stuff here in the Book of the Kings. Back in the profiting days, the propheting days, his actions were big in the land, and mighty works were done by the men of God. Now that we've entered the civil unrest and unauthorized cooing days, the profiting days, God seems to have fucked off. It's funny that, isn't it? Whenever there's mighty men of renown around to demand tribute in the name of the Lord is very active in the land. When the prophets have fucked off and it's just politicking and various Byzantine plots and shit, God seems to be nowhere to be found. It's almost like he ain't real. But what sense would that make? And as for the rest of the deeds that Joash did, are they not written down in a book that is lost to history? That's apparently all that we got in this chapter. Riveting stuff, this, isn't it? Hey, Math Pig, welcome, my friend. Rock on, indeed. I hear you may have been of a little backstage assistance to us earlier, and I thank you immensely for that. Struggling here as I do in the shallow waters of internet streamdom. Thank you. All right, we got people sharing on the Book of Faces. Thank you to the Danes for doing that. Godless Sewing, hello. I'm not entirely certain I've seen you in one of these streams before. If I have and it slipped my mind, please forgive me. Welcome. I've seen you in other streams. I'm not 100% for sure and for certain that I've seen you here in the library. Again, if I have and it's just slipped my mind, forgive me. All right. Well, I don't know that there's much else to wrestle out of chapter 12. Oh, except for the whole slight uprising there at the end, which is how we get rid of Joash and make room for Amaziah, his son. Got a little bit of smiting going on. Jozachar and Jehozabad rise up against the king. His servants rise up against the king, smite him, and he dies. Hashtag the Smiters. All righty. Oh, y'all forgive me. It is allergy season, and my schnoz is aware of it with itching. Go out there and smite some of those damn oak trees. I'll tell you what. Yes, indeed, Mr. Nielsen. Welcome to hashtag the Smiters. Just so you know, it's a weird fucking book. True indeed. All right. Let's see what happens during the reign of Amaziah, a father smiter, or at least the father's kingdom taker over. Chapter 13. In the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned 17 years. Okie dokie. Well, that was a lot to jump through in one little verse. God damn. Remember to put on my glass. When the binding on this poor thing finally craps out on me altogether, I'm going to swap out for a large print edition. Old Junk Shop was not kind to his eyes in his youth, and his eyes have not forgotten. Okay, so let's see. So Joash was king who was killed by his servants, and it didn't say how long he reigned. Oh, no, sorry. 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem. Okay. So he reigned for 40 years, and in the 23rd year of that reign, Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel in Samaria. This is whilst Joahaz is reigning in Judah, because this United Kingdom stuff just won't take. Every once in a while, along, I think they're going to unite the land. Nope. All righty. You know, it's passages like this, which is why GE and KC use that chronological Bible. So you can have to go charging around doing math. Okay, so Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, reigned over Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 17 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and followed the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nephra, put them into Ben-Hadad. Jehoahaz besought the Lord, and the Lord hearkened unto him, for he saw the oppression of Israel, because the king of Syria oppressed them. Can't see that. And the Lord gave Israel a savior, so that they went out from under the hand of the Syrians, and the children of Israel dwelt in their tents as beforetime. Nevertheless, they departed not from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who made Israel sin, but walked therein. And there remained the grove also in Samaria. Neither did he leave of the people to Jehoahaz but 50 horsemen, and 10 chariots, and 10,000 footmen, for the king of Syria had destroyed them, and had made them like dust by threshing. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz and all that he did, his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehoahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria, and Joash his son reigned in his stead. In the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, began Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 16 years. And he, any guesses? Did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from all the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin, but he walked therein. And the rest of the acts of Joash, and all that he did, and his might, wherewith he fought against Amaziah, king of Judah, were they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Joash slept with his fathers, and Jeroboam sat upon his throne, and Joash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Full-blown civil war there, just for the record. In chapter 12, war between the kingdoms of Israel and Judah, but refer to the book of the Chronicles of the Kings for that. Might have been interesting. Now Elisha, remember Elisha? Now Elisha was fallen sick of his sickness, whereof he died. Okay. And Joash the king of Israel came down unto him, and wept over his face, and said, O my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And Elisha said unto him, Take bow and arrows. And he took unto him bow and arrows. And he said to the king of Israel, Put thine hand upon the bow. And he put his hand upon it. And Elisha put his hands upon the king's hands. And he said, Open the window eastward. And he opened it. Then Elisha said, Shoot. And he shot. And he said, The arrow of the Lord's deliverance, and the arrow of deliverance from Syria, for thou shalt smite the Syrians in Aphek, till thou have consumed them. And he said, Take the arrows. And he took them. And he said unto the king of Israel, Smite upon the ground. And he smote thrice, and stayed. And the man of God was wroth with him, and said, Thou shouldest have smitten 5 or 6 times. Then hast thou smitten Syria till thou hadst consumed it, whereas thou now shalt smite Syria but thrice. And Elisha died, and they buried him. And the bands of the Moabites invaded the land at the coming in of the year. And it came to pass, as they were burying a man, that, behold, they spied a band of men. And they cast the man into the sepulchre of Elisha. And when the man was let down and touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood on his feet. But Hazael, king of Syria, oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz. And the Lord was gracious unto them, and had compassion on them, and had respect unto them, because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and would not destroy them, neither cast he them from his presence as yet. And Hazael, king of Syria, died, and Ben-Hadad his son reigned in his stead. And Joash the son of Jehoahaz took again out of the hand of Ben-Hadad the son of Hazael the cities, which he had taken out of the hand of Jehoahaz his father by war. 3 times did Joash beat him, and recovered the cities of Israel. And there we have the very busy and yet somehow Reader's Digest version of a whole lot of shit in the 13th chapter of the 2nd book of the Kings. See what's going on in the chat. Grumpy old dude says, What the hell is going on in here? You know what, my friend? If I figure it out, I'll be sure to let you know. Nerdy Rodent is in the house saying, Smite everyone! Yep, cutting up foreskins and smiting everybody. Yeah, that's pretty much par for the course. Robert X, Germany has joined us. Did you miss the smiting? Only some of it. It's a pretty smite-heavy section of the book, although it seems to gloss over the smiting pretty glossily. Math Pig says, Hi from Amanda, who is sleeping. Bow smiting, says Nerdy Rodent. Bow smiting sounds dangerous. Hands touching hands on a bow. Yes. Sounds like an idiom, doesn't it? Thrice smitten, says Nerdy Rodent. Thrice smitten, for one smite is too little. Yeah, it turns out thrice smitten was insufficient as well. He should have smitten 5 or 6 times. Once, twice, 3 times a smiter. All right. Hello notification, goodbye notification. Okay. So, yeah, Amber, exactly. Can he smite some pollen, please? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Okay, so a lot of shit going on in chapter 13 for it to be such a miserable little chapter. Bunch of kings doing that which is evil in the sight of the Lord, not chopping down that damn grove in Samaria. You got to remember, Yahweh does not like fertility cults. He prefers to be the one appealed to in issues of fertility. Ain't that just like a man? Full-blown civil war in chapter 12, glossed over. And then the sickness unto death Elisha, who continues to confuse. He continues to confuse the ways of Yahweh prophecy with the artifact magic prevalent in the ancient world. You remember? This has been Elisha's thing all along. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But he keeps fucking up with this shit. At the very beginning of Elisha's reign, right after Elijah was whooshed off into heaven, not in the chariot of fire, but just divided from Elisha by a chariot of fire, dropped his clothes. And Elisha said, I bet them clothes are magic. So he gathered them up and he went and hit a river with them. And lo and behold, the clothes were magic because the river parted asunder and he walked through on dry ground. And then he thought his stick was magic. And then he thought his mouth was magic. And then, I mean, he has just tried to do magic every damn way. He tried stick magic. He's tried necromancy magic. He magically knocked up that great woman of the town whose name I forgot. This Elisha, I mean, he's the fucking phantom menace of prophets of Yahweh. Lots of build up, big disappointment. Back during the reign of Elijah, we had fire from the sky, and we had slaughter of the barbarian prophets, and we had massacres and more fire from heaven, and massacres and more fire from heaven. And yet, Elisha, sometimes he does magic, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he does it with artifacts, sometimes he doesn't. It's never all that interesting. And then he dies, and they bury him. And then they're in the process, apparently years later, of burying some other poor fucker when they see a herd of enemies come over the hill, and they just chuck the body into the crypt of Elisha right quick to get shed of it so they can be on their way. And the poor fucker wakes up there in the tomb next to the bones of Elisha, and that's the last we fucking hear of him. Weird fucking book. Let's see. Try Smiters, says Nerdy Rodent. Yes. Yes, indeed. So, the moral of the story is, if the prophet of God tells you to do weird shit, you don't get right to it. You say, how high? He says, smite the ground with the arrows. You're supposed to just keep wailing away on that shit until he tells you to stop or all the arrows break. Don't just go, all right, darn. There, I did what you told me. Because you'll make the poor, delirious, sick prophet angry. And he'll prophesy unto thee that you'll only get to smite the Syrians thrice. And that doesn't even happen quickly. He has to wait till the old Syrian king dies and smite away the cities from the younger Syrian king, Jehoiakim. It seems like everybody in this couple of chapters is called Jehoiakim. And Hazael continues to oppress Israel, but it's not a great oppression because of the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which the Lord remembers at just sort of fucking random intervals. Am I right? It's like the covenant he made with David. He just kind of sometimes seems to remember that he made the covenant, and sometimes he does not. It's almost like Yahweh ain't real, and there's just a bunch of scribes and writers attributing things to him. How weird would that be if that was the case? Really? No volcano god? Just people committing the fundamental attribution error all over the place? Nay, surely not. Hey, Wonder Lady, welcome. Distract me from my anguish. I'm sorry you're anguished. We'll do our best to distract you. We've got smiting and civil war. Oh, yeah, definitely check out Brainbug's channel. Ed's dropped his link in the chat. If you hadn't seen his last couple of videos, you're missing out. Make sure you hit that like button on all the videos you watch, too. I've seen a lot of people's videos with just absolutely appalling view to like ratios. It's one button. Click it. Click it, click it, click it. I didn't say anything dirty. No double entendres up here in the library. Don't know what you're talking about. Paul is in the bath. Alrighty. Chapter 14. Elisha's dead, which means we ought to be about due for a new prophet, right? We've been rolling on pretty steadily with a chain of succession of prophets here, so surely we'll get another one. Although I'll be honest, I don't remember which prophet followed Elisha. Of course, I also didn't remember the great civil war of chapter 13, verse 12, nor the reign of Good Queen Athaliah. Fucking cherry-picking biblical education. All right, chapter 14. In the second year of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, reigned Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jehoadan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, yet not like David his father. He did according to all things as Joash his father did. Howbeit, the high places were not taken away. As yet people did sacrifice and burnt incense on the high places. I gotta throw an asterisk about that because I got a question. And it came to pass, as soon as the kingdom was confirmed in his hand, that he slew his servants which had slain the king his father. Remember that? But the children of the murderers he slew not, according unto that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, wherein the Lord commanded, saying, The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the fathers, but every man shall be put to death for his own sin. Y'all remember that? I don't remember that. He slew in Edom, in the valley of Salt, 10,000, and took Selah by war, and called the name of it Joktheel unto this day. Then Amaziah sent messengers to Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, Come, let us look one another in the face. And Jehoash, the king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, Give thy daughter to my son to wife. And there passed by a wild beast that was in Lebanon, and trod down the thistle. Thou hast indeed smitten Edom, and thy heart hath lifted thee up. Glory of this, and tarry at home. For why shouldest thou meddle to thy hurt, that thou shouldest fall, even thou, and Judah with thee? But Amaziah would not hear. Therefore Jehoash, king of Israel, went up. He and Amaziah, king of Judah, looked one another in the face at Beth Shemesh, which belongeth to Judah. And Judah was put to the worse before Israel, and they fled every man to their tents. And Jehoash, king of Israel, took Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Jehoash, the son of Ahaziah, to Beth Shemesh, and came to Jerusalem, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim unto the corner gate, 400 cubits. And he took all the gold and silver, and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord, and in the treasures of the king's house, and hostages, and returned to Samaria. Now God damn it. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoash which he did, and his might, and how he fought with Amaziah king of Judah, are then written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. And Jehoash slept with his fathers, and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and Jeroboam his son reigned in his stead. And Amaziah the son of Joash king of Judah lived after the death of Jehoash son of Jehoahaz king of Israel 15 years. And the rest of the acts of Amaziah, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Now they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent after him to Lachish, and slew him there. And they brought him on horses, and he was buried at Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. And all the people of Judah took Azariah, which was 16 years old, and made him king instead of his father Amaziah. He built Elath, and restored it to Judah. After that the king slept with his fathers. In the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, began to reign in Samaria, and reigned 41 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not at all from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. He restored the coast of Israel from the entering of Hamath unto the sea of the plain, according to the word of the Lord God of Israel, which he spoke by the hand of his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai the prophet, which was of Gath-hepher. For the Lord saw the affliction of Israel, that it was very bitter, for there was not any shut up, nor any left, nor any helper for Israel. And the Lord said not that he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, but he saved them by hand of Jeroboam, the son of Joash. Now, the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, and all that he did, and his might, how he warred, and how he recovered Damascus and Hamath, which belonged to Judah, for Israel, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jeroboam slept with his fathers, even with the kings of Israel, and Zechariah his son reigned in his stead. And that's the end of chapter 14. Holy shit, y'all. Okay, I know what this sort of whole slew of a section reminds me of. Oh God, what was the name of that fucking movie? The Covenant. Did you ever see the movie The Covenant? It was a crappy little PG-13 Magic Academy boarding school movie from like 2002, 2003. It was round about the time they remade Prom Night. That time when all of horror that came out was PG-13, which was why The Descent and The Ruins were such a great shock when they came out, and they were horror movies that actually went back for the hard R. And as for the rest of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. Well, the Covenant, it played like a feature-length commercial for a full season of a television show. Exactly. It felt like a feature-length highlights reel. And that's what this section of this book plays like to me. And he came up and he was a good king and he died. And if you want to know more about him, check the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. And he cropped up and he was a bad king and he did bad shit and he died. And if you want to know more about him, you can check the Chronicles of the books of the Kings of Judah. And this goes on. This has been going on for chapters upon chapters upon chapters. And now that Elisha's dead, it's getting even worse. We ain't even got any prophets. I mean, we've got Jonah, which, yes, is the Jonah from the book of Jonah. But we're going to have to wait another several significant amount of pages before we get to the book of the story of the son of Jonah, son of Amittai. Okay, so the moral of the story is if you rise to power under an angry and vengeful God, you better take down the altars to his rivals. Because the people are just people. The people are sheeple. And they're going to keep on sacrificing on the high places and sacrificing in the groves and bowing down to the Asherah poles, as long as those high places and groves and Asherah poles are there. Because we don't have any prophets of note. We don't have any great high priests to drive the country to war by needling at the king. What's going on in the chat? Try Smiters. Let's see. Oh, Mama Atheist is here. Hey, man, welcome. Fell asleep. Lame math pig. Ooh. My. And Amiga Nuts dropping the links. Thank you, my friend. Good, well done, Schiller extraordinaire. Amanda's preemptively napping so that she'll be able to get on Ed's channel in a couple of weeks. Let's see here. Everybody greeting. Horror movie talk, says Brainbug. Yes. It's got to be some. Mr. Shadow Kitty points out that Jonah is a whale of a tale. You cannot possibly imagine how much I loathe you right now, but for reasons you could not possibly have known. You see, there's a shitty little children's musical called Jonah, a Whale of a Tale. And back in my Sunday school and churchin' days, I was in a very bad, very low production value incarnation of it. The problem with a lot of those crappy Christian productions is that they're catchy as fuck, and those songs will get in your head. This was in 4th grade, and I can still sing the songs. The tale of a whale is whale of a tale. It's a story of the deep blue sea. It's a story of a man named Jonah who was a lot like you and me. The whole thing is just that good. I promise you. Oh, Wonder Lady's wrestling anxiety today. I'm so sorry. That's something I understand all too well. And yes, Grumpy Old Dude points out, I will be on his channel the week after Mama Atheist. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Oh, thank you, Amber. Okay, so Reader's Digest commercial for the reign of several kings of Israel and Judah. And one of them gets his ass beat. And he was warned, God damn it, with the parable of the thistle. You know, for such a parable-prone book, the people in it don't really wrap their heads around the parables too well. It's like parables are easy. Parables and fables, they're the easiest ways to communicate something to somebody other than just flat outright saying it, which is something apparently that the people, particularly the prophets and the kings of Israel and Judah, are constitutionally incapable of doing. This book. We're on page 187. We will wrap on page 546. It's taken us 1.5 years to get 1/3 of the way through. Was this a good idea? I have to ask myself that periodically. Yes, Mr. Shadow Kitty, you did. You gave me flashbacks all the way to the 4th grade, flashbacks in detail I wasn't even aware I still had bouncing around in the old brain box. But, as I said, there's literally no way you could have known, unless you too were subjected to the musicals by that particular team of wordsmiths. We did one about Daniel in the Lion's Den. We did one about Jonah. Then when I was in 6th grade, we did an absolute masterpiece called A Technicolor Promise, which was about Noah. A Technicolor Promise painted in the sky. It was terrible. Absolutely god-fucking awful. So naturally, I still have the audio tapes around here somewhere. The old junk shop put in the junk shop in Junk Shop Library. Typing this on my phone sucks. Yes, trust me, and I'm right there with you. If I was, Mr. Shadow Kitty says, if I was subjected to it, I conveniently blocked it from my mind. I thought I had done that as well. But someone came along and ripped the cover off the oubliette within which all of that material had been consigned. No. I would not be who I am without all that crap rattling around in my head. And y'all seem to like who I am, so I guess it was worth it. I got good friends out of the deal. Thank you, Amber. I love this series, Amber says. Well, that's good. I grouse about it, but I love it too. All right, we've been going almost an hour. Do we want more? Let me know in the chat. Because I could go either way. At least that's the rumor. Come on, chat, talk to me. Oh, Mr. Shadow Kitty loves me, crap and all. Thank you, my friend. And thank you, Amanda. Oh, so much love in the chat. It does. I'm a little hyperbolic about that kind of thing, but it's just because I'm not good at taking compliments. Never have been. Morton wants more smiting. Surely there's more smiting yet to come. Paul's account has been taken over by Oliver Twist. Rodex says, continue with the smiting. Amiganet says, go for it. Mom Atheist wants more. All right, we're going to keep on keeping on. Hopefully this one will be a little less Reader's Digest-y. So real quick aside about some YouTube mechanics. Since I've got a lot of content creators here, has anybody tried the new chapter break option? I saw the announcement for it on the studio home screen. I just hadn't experimented with it yet. Has anybody tried it? Is it worth experimenting with? Or is it just one of those things where I'm going to beat my head against the wall for 2 hours and then finally hit escape, do not save changes? Just because we do actually cover, chapters in this, I thought the chapter break option might be interesting to play around with if it's worth dealing with. Oh, hey, Godless Granny. Welcome. Good to see you. All righty. Let's see what happens in 15. In the 27th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, began Azariah, the son of Amaziah, king of Judah, to reign. 16 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jecholiah of Jerusalem. That's the asterisk. Hang on. Okay. What's with all of a sudden getting the king's mother's names? We've gone, it was fucking ages ago the last time we had a woman's name in here, except for Good Queen Athaliah. And there has been, we hadn't had any good women, any bad women, any women of dubious reputation, any prophetesses, nothing. And yet here, in this weird Reader's Digest version of the Annals of the Kings of Israel and the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah, all of a sudden, all of the king's mothers are being named. It's just a weird turn for such a terminally patriarchal book. And yet then they're never mentioned again. At least there's some women being named in here. Am I right? There's no, but still, it's an odd inclusion when when it's just dudes being talked about. Oh, Mama Athie says, dropped a link. Math Pig and I had a lovely interview with Dr. Josh last night about Old Testament law. I did not see that notification. Dr. Josh is bloody fantastic. Yes, I will definitely have to check that out sometime soon. All right. Okay, so and his mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah had done, save that the high places were not removed. The people sacrificed and burnt incense still on the high places. And the Lord smote the king, so that he was a leper unto the day of his death, and dwelt in a several house. And Jotham, the king's son, was over the house, judging the people of the land. And the rest of the acts of Azariah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Azariah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, and Jotham his son reigned in his stead. In the 38th year of Azariah king of Judah did Zechariah the son of Jeroboam reign over Israel in Samaria 6 months. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his fathers had done. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. And Shallum the son of Jabesh conspired against him, and smote him before the people, and slew him, and reigned in his stead. And the rest of the acts of Zechariah, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. This was the word of the Lord, which he spake unto Jehu, saying, Thy sons shall sit on the throne of Israel unto the 4th generation. And so it came to pass. Shallum, the son of Jabesh, began to reign in the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, and he reigned a full month in Samaria. For Menahem, the son of Gadi, went up from Tirzah and came to Samaria, and smote Shallum, the son of Jabesh, in Samaria, and slew him, and reigned in his stead. And the rest of the acts of Shallum and his conspiracy which he made, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Then Menahem smote Tipsah and all that were therein, and the coasts thereof from Tirzah, because they opened not to him. Therefore he smote it, and all the women therein that were with child he ripped up. In the 39th year of Azariah king of Judah began Menahem the son of Gadi to reign over Israel, and reigned 10 years in Samaria. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not all his days from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. And Pul, the king of Assyria, came against the land. And Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver, that his hand might be with him to confirm the kingdom in his hand. And Menahem exacted the money of Israel, even of all the mighty men of wealth, of each man 50 shekels of silver, to give to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back, and stayed not there in the land. And the rest of the acts of Menahem and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Menahem slept with his fathers, and Pekahiah his son reigned in his stead. In the 50th year of Azariah king of Judah, Pekahiah the son of Menahem began to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 2 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. But Pekah, the son of Remaliah, a captain of his, conspired against him, and smote him in Samaria, in the palace of the king's house, with Argob and Arieh, and with him 50 men of the Gileadites, and he killed him, and reigned in his room. And the rest of the acts of Pekahiah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah, the son of Remaliah, began to reign over Israel and Samaria, and reigned 20 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, the king of Assyria, and took Ijon, and Abel-Beth-Maachah, and Janoah, and Kadesh, and Hazor, and Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria. And Hoshea, the son of Elah, made a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and smote him, and slew him, and reigned in his stead in the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. And the rest of the acts of Pekah, and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 2nd year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, began Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. He did according to all that his father Uzziah had done. Howbeit the high places were not removed. The people sacrificed and burned incense still in the high places. He built the higher gate at the house of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In those days, the Lord began to send against Judah Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah. And Jotham slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father, and Ahaz his son reigned in his stead. And that's the end of chapter 15. Is the whole fucking book going to be like this? Jesus Christ. Okay, let's see. Ed's heading out. Take care, my friend. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Godless Granny says, when I used to read all this as a Christian, I was always glad when they did good and sad when they were evil. Right? Smitten, indeed. Smite, rip, tear. Paul Camish asks, do we have the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? I would like to cross-reference. Well, I don't know, to be honest. 1st and 2nd Chronicles are the next 2 books in the Bible, but I don't know if those are the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel and Judah, to which the books of the kings so frequently and offhandedly refer. Could be. Might not be. We're going to find out at some fucking point. How many chapters are in 2nd Kings anyway? Great. Really. 16, 19, 22, 24. There are 24 chapters. And we just finished 15. So, probably sometime next week we'll launch into Chronicles, and then we'll find out, I guess. Yes. All right. Amiga Nut says, God is kinky for foreskins. Just an observation. Yes, this is true. He has a thing. so often, so do the men who speak for him. Weird, isn't it? All right, here's my question about this section. Questions about this section. Where are the prophets? We went from the days of Elijah and Elisha, when there were these huge swaths of the populace that were referred to as the sons of the prophets, who heard the word of the Lord and transmitted it on to the people and to the big ass prophets. Came to Elijah and Elisha and told them shit that God hadn't bothered to tell Elijah and Elisha. We've gone from that to apparently absolutely fuck all in the ways of prophets. None, zilch, nada, goose egg. No prophets to be found. Because if there were prophets, they would be telling these fucking kings to tear down these high places. Since apparently that's what's got God's knickers in a twist. The high places are still there, so the people are still sacrificing there. The groves are still there, so the people are still burning incense. This is not a hard fix. All one of these goddamn kings has to do is go tear down the high places and do a little bit of smiting of people who are burning strange fires to alien gods. This would not be difficult. This is the only reason right now why God's wrath is kindled against the children of Israel and or Judah at any given time. You notice most of the time it's Judah. You got a lot of kings of Israel walking upright in the ways of David. We got a lot of kings of Judah, you know, the ones on the losing side, the ones who didn't get to write the book, who continue to walk in the way of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. Interesting side notes there, I thought was worth popping up on the old bulletin board of the brain. Morton suggests we make this an extra long stream and go ahead all the way through the rest of the book. I don't think that would work. We've been going an hour and a quarter. That many more chapters, we'd be pushing 3 hours, I think, depending on how succinct old Junk Shop was able to keep his remarks. Ain't nobody going to watch that through after the fact. Except for maybe our dear friend Joan. All right. Now, what was that business about a conspiracy that they just kind of glossed over? It wasn't Pekahiah. It wasn't Pekah. Okay, in verse 30, that was the second time we encountered the conspiracy, or encountered the word. Oh yeah, we did have that small encounter with Pul, king of Assyria, who came up against, was it Israel or Judah? Israel. Came up against Israel, and Menahem, king of Israel, raised a great tax against the people of Israel and bought off the king of Assyria and sent him on his merry, bewitched way. Did evil, did good, did evil, did good. There is nothing to get your teeth into in this chapter. Oh yeah, there it is, verse 15. Oh no, never mind. That's just the rising of Shallum against Azariah. He conspired against him and smote him and slew him and reigned in his stead. And then the details. For the details, please see the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. So much for that. Ugh. You know, I thought I had left my as a coda at the end of the chapter. This is riveting stuff, isn't it? Bit behind Deuteronomy, along with the curious girdle of the ephod. Drink. Let's see. Hello, Cafe. I don't know you. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. There's a study that says it's official. DMT causes atheists to believe in God. I'd be interested in reading the methodology section of the peer-reviewed paper that makes that claim. Robert X says, we are so lucky that the Christian God is a loving God. Just think how much smiting we would have when this was a hateful, sadistic God. That's a good point. It's not like we've had any smiting so far. All right. Dare we another chapter? Chapter 16. Amber says, loving God equals foreskins and smiting. I'm confused. Indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. More kings with difficult to pronounce names. Hooray. In the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz, the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. 20 years old was Ahaz when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and did not that which was right in the sight of the Lord his God, like David his father. But he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, yea, and made his son to pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel. And he sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places, and on the hills, and under every green tree. Then Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to war, and they besieged Ahaz, but could not overcome him. At that time, Rezin, king of Syria, recovered Elath to Syria, and drave the Jews from Elath, and the Syrians came to Elath, and dwelt there unto this day. So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am thy servant and thy son. Come up, and save me out of the hand of the king of Syria, and out of the hand of the king of Israel, which rise up against me. And Ahaz took... Oh, shit. And Ahaz took the silver and gold that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasures of the king's house, and sent it for a present to the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria hearkened unto him. For the king of Assyria went up against Damascus and took it, and carried the people of it captive to Kir, and slew Rezin. And King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and saw an altar that was at Damascus. And King Ahaz sent to Urijah the priest the fashion of the altar and the pattern of it, according to all the workmanship thereof. And Urijah the priest built an altar according to all that King Ahaz had sent from Damascus. So Urijah the priest made it against King Ahaz, came from Damascus. Okay, then. And when the king was come from Damascus, the king saw the altar, and the king approached the altar and offered thereon. And he burnt his burnt offering and his meat offering, and poured his drink offering, and sprinkled the blood of his peace offerings upon the altar. And he brought also the brazen altar which was before the Lord from the forefront of the house, from between the altar and the house of the Lord, and put it on the north side of the altar. And King Ahaz commanded Urijah the priest, saying, upon the great altar burn the morning burnt offering, and the evening meat offering, and the king's burnt sacrifice, and his meat offering, and the burnt offering of all the people of the land, and their meat offering, and their drink offerings, and sprinkle upon it all the blood of the burnt offering, and all the blood of the sacrifice, and the brazen altar shall be for me to inquire by. Thus did Urijah the priest, according to all that King Ahaz commanded. And King Ahaz cut off the borders of the bases, and removed the laver from off them, and took down the sea from off the brazen oxen that were under it, and put it upon the pavement of stones. And the covert for the Sabbath that they had built in the house, and the king's entry without, turned he from the house of the Lord for the king of Assyria. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaz which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Ahaz slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, and Hezekiah his son reigned in his stead.
They not have an original English.
Bad. Very, very bad. Ah, yes. Julie LeBois points out, so I guess it's cool to sacrifice your son or daughter if Yahweh tells you to, but it's not cool to sacrifice your son to other gods. Good to know. Smell the smoke. Barbecue every single animal you can find. Ah, Morton, thank you for that link. I'll read that later. Okie dokie. So, I would have expected a more smitey end to King Ahaz's reign. But apparently the motherfucker just died of old age and was buried in the tomb of David, his father. Father many times removed, of course. But shit just got real, y'all. We have made an alliance, we in the text, have made an alliance with the Assyrians. We have caused the king's son to pass through the fire. For those of you who may not be as familiar with the more grisly idioms of the Old Testament as I was brought up to be, to cause your son to pass through the fire is to put him inside a ginormous brazen statue of Moloch, the abomination of the Edomites? The abomination of the Edomites are some of our people, of some tribe. and build a fire under it and cook him alive. Human sacrifice in one of the grisliest and most painful ways imaginable. Moloch. It's no great wonder you don't meet a lot of church-going folks who name their sons Ahaz, is it? All right, so having dredged up Moloch worship from the distant past, gone back to the old days. Wow, the chat is hopping. Let me see what's going on. Oh, Godless Granny points out, yes, they recently found THC on an ancient Jewish altar. I found that out in Godless Engineer's stream the other night, and it made me intolerably happy. That explains why Aaron's sons were smitten for sacrificing with strange fire, perhaps. Yahweh was accustomed to cannabis, and they burned him something else.
This is oregano.
Meganut's shilling everybody. Good, good, good. Thank you, my friend. Angie Dell in the chat. Welcome. Welcome. Righty. This great cloud of witnesses. Okay, so not content to have dredged up Moloch worship from the distant past of the children of Israel, because we've been here before, he goes on a little trip down to Assyria, a little, shall we say, fact-finding tour. And he finds himself in Damascus. Not a good idea. Always avoid Damascus if you can. Doesn't matter if you're in Assassin's Creed 1 or in the book of 2 Kings. Damascus is a shithole, and you should avoid it at all costs. God damn it. But he goes to Damascus. And he sees there an altar that he likes the look of. So he takes measurements and sends measurements back to Uhijah, his priest, Underlady's trying to get the cats used to the vacuum cleaner. Good luck, my friend. Fight. Oh, Angie's fighting off an eye grain. Those are the fucking worst. But thank you for dropping by nonetheless. Keep those lights turned low. Okay, so he sends to Uhijah these measurements of this fancy schmancy altar that he has seen and likes the look of. And Uhijah fucking makes it for him. And when Ahaz gets back home, he proceeds to make a mistake. Or rather, a series of mistakes. He starts taking shit out of Yahweh's temple and putting it in the new temple, where this new altar that he's decided is so fancy and schmancy resides. He takes the table, he takes the brazen sea from upon the oxen. One of the few times God seems to be okay with the making of a graven image of something on the earth below. Because remember, God commanded these 12 brazen oxen facing outward beneath the great brazen sea that defieth the laws of geometry. But they take the big-ass soup bowl and they put it in the new temple. And they cut the horns off the altar and they put them in the new temple. About the only damn thing they don't put in the new temple is a giant-ass seraphim. And then he dies. Just like everybody else, apparently. Because if there was anything remarkable about it, even this fucking Reader's Digest version of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel would have mentioned something about it. Would have mentioned if his servants had risen up and smitten him, or if God had reached down and smitten him, or if the kings of Syria had come marching in and leveled the place. But no, just did this huge blasphemy and did all the sacrifices on all the high places and to all the fertility groves and all, just blasphemous sacrificed all over the fucking place his entire career, and died at a ripe old age of natural causes and was buried with his fathers. Anybody else starting to be a little ticked at the lack of a continuity editor on this interesting little manuscript? If I'd written something like this, I would be ticked at myself. Of course, I wouldn't have written something like this to begin with, because I'm better than that. I mean, this is full-on blasphemy. Not just a little bit either. This is blasphemy and idolatry to 4 different cults. You got the worship on the high places. You got the sacrificing under every green tree. You got the building of this altar and the desecration of the Yahweh altar to take all the fancy shit to furbish the new place. And last but not least, you got human fucking sacrifice to, of all things, Moloch. What the hell is this Ahaz thinking? Jesus Christ. See what's going on in the chat. Megan says, I wouldn't write it either. Yeah, well, that I doubt any of us would. I like a greater variety of female characters myself. It's just me. Yeah, Wonder Lady. Smiting time. Definitely smiting time. How does this king get away with this shit? I mean, kings have been smitten in this book for significantly lesser crimes than sacrificing to Moloch and desecrating the house of the Lord. Nothing happens to this guy except for natural death and burial along with his fathers. Remember what got Ahab smitten? Suborning perjury. That was all it took. He didn't even do it. His wife fucking did. Oh, Queen Jezebel. Because Ahab, back in 1 Kings, and not to be confused with Ahaz here in 2nd, wanted the vineyard he could see from his window to turn it into a sitting garden. And he threw such an almighty fit that his wife found 2 people who were willing to perjure themselves, and Naboth's vineyard passed into the hands of the king on the grounds of false testimony. And that during the reign of Elijah, prophet of fire, that kind of shit didn't fly. Not convinced it would have flown during the reign of Elisha, the wimpy follow-up to Elijah, prophet of fire. Yet here we are, a few generations later, not a fucking prophet to be seen, kings sacrificing their sons into the bellies of Moloch statues to be burnt alive in a brazier, chopping off pieces of God's pimpin' tent. Consequences? Nada. I don't understand. It's good to be the king. Yep. This one, apparently. Oh, Paul Camish says it's all verified in the book of the Chronicles of the... Yes, indubitably. Indubitably. I'm sure the details are there. We require further details. We can just flip over to the book of the Chronicles or the Annals, depending on which translation you're in, of the kings of Israel and Judah. Godless Granny says it makes up for Sapphira getting killed for what her husband did. Yeah, well. Oh, that's the thing. Thank you, Godless Granny. That's the thing I wanted to revisit from a couple chapters ago. We've been going over 90 minutes. I think we're gonna flip back, if I can fucking find it. Flip back to this point if I can find it, and then close out. I mean, look, back in chapter 15, Azariah just didn't even take down the high places and let the people burn incense on them. And he got himself smitten with leprosy, so that he lived in a several house all his days, whatever the fuck a several house is. But there was a bit back here somewhere. Gosh, I'll never find it now that I'm looking for it. I should go back to the days when I did this with a pencil. I mean, not literally back to the days, because we have improved our machineries instead. But do y'all remember there was a thing, just kind of an aside, talking about the sins of the father, how the Lord smote not the sons of the bad priest, not priest, king, according to the word of the books of Moses. And it said that was the logic behind it, was that the son shall not die for the sins of the father, nor the father for the sins of the son, but each man shall die for his own sin. Anybody fucking remember anywhere in the books of Moses where it said anything even remotely fucking akin to that? Because I sure as hell don't. And we've been through this verse by verse for a year and a half. What I do remember from books of Moses was a whole lot of, and yea, the sons shall perish for the sins of the father, down to the 7th and yea on generation. I remember that. I don't remember this doctrine of mercy that got pulled out of nowhere for this one particular king. Weird fucking book indeed. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap it there, y'all, with the Moloch-worshipping King Ahaz, who lived to a ripe old age and died of natural causes, despite having set up strange altars, sacrificed on old altars, and desecrated the temple of God in Jerusalem. We're just going from one extreme to another, aren't we? The last time we met to do improv Bible study, at any rate, it was Wednesday of last week, and we had Good Queen Athaliah, who was killed like a dog by a priest of God because he got tired of being bossed around by a woman. And in this one, we've got a king who's murdering his son with fire and desecrating Yahweh's temple and just flat fucking getting away with it. Think we'll call it here. I mean, we've been going well over 90 minutes at this point, so we will be back on Wednesday at the same time, 2 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock UK, 9 o'clock Denmark, and assuming my pal Linda's still willing to work with me and work on this techno shit after today, it will once again be a bit of tea in Danish production. Thank you so much for your help with this today, my friend. You have no idea. And then we'll have Mental Health Thursdays. My patrons are still in the process of voting on a topic. I've decided that's going to be a new perk. And the votes are coming in. Let's see the last little bit of chat. Bye, all stay safe, says Godless Granny. And wash your hands, points out Amiga Nuts. Yes, please. 2,000 hours, UK. Thank you, Paul. Yep. All right. Yes, all credit to our lovely producer and company. All right. Well, happy Pride Month, everybody. Wherever you fall on the LGBTQIA plus spectrum, or if you are an ally and don't fall on that spectrum at all, enjoy the month. Take care. There's some weird shit going on online. And remember, as a friend of mine says, the original Stonewall was a riot. Until we reconvene, everybody take care, be safe, fight against hate. And Miss Linda, you can take us out.